Wife wants to give me a hall pass. Burner account for reasons. So my wife, 35 female, and I, 37 male, didn't have the best of years so far and our sex life has suffered immensely. She is dealing with depression and a pending parent's death. I try to support her the best I can and don't want to pressure her into sex. However, it has been 4 to 5 months since we last had sex and she doesn't respond to physical touch the way she used. I on the other hand still have a healthy libido and am suffering quite a lot. Yesterday I told her how I was feeling and she responded that right now she simply doesn't have the emotional capacity to have sex. She validated my need for sex but says she is simply unable to give it to me for the foreseeable future. She understands that I'm suffering from the lack of physical affection as much as I understand that sex simply isn't one of her priorities right now. When I asked her if she at least would be willing to work on improving our sex life again, she repeated that right now sex is at the very bottom of her list. In the end, she suggested that I should look for someone else to fulfill my sexual needs. This kinda shocked me as I'm not looking for a random hookup but for intimacy with the person I love, which I also told her. She seemed to understand my concerns but told me again that sex simply isn't something she is able to give me right now. So yeah, I simply don't know what to do now. As much as a hall pass might seem appealing to many men, I much more fear that it will destroy our relationship. On the other hand, as stupid as it might sound, I'm really suffering from the lack of physical affection as our sex life used to be quite fulfilling. Any advice is appreciated. Too long did not read. Wife and I had a difficult year, we stopped having sex. Wife offered me a hall pass, which I'm pretty sure is a bad idea. You are right that it would destroy your relationship. You seem to be talking about two things here. Intimacy, affection, and sexual activity, gratification. For many of us guys, we tend to associate those things into one thing in our mind. So it becomes, I want affection. Let's have sex. Or, I want to express love and feel loved. Let's have sex. Or even, I feel like we're growing distant. Let's sex. This can be counterproductive if your partner isn't in a headspace to have sex, because insisting it's sexual means you just took a bunch of other activities off the table that could have still given you the other things, like intimacy and bonding. I would try to focus on the non-sex side for now. My date was a girl. I really need your help because I don't know what to do. I, 21F, have been single since 2 years. My last relationship was very toxic and it took me a long time to recover from it. For about 5 months I've been ready to go on dates again and get involved with other people. My sister, Sheila, 20F, is the first to know that I'm dating again. Sheila told me she knew someone who would be perfect for me and that we should go on a date. A blind date, so to speak. She wanted to organize everything for both of us and told us where we should meet on which day. I got ready for the blind date and went to the agreed place, a cafe, at the given time. Sheila said I should carry a white bag so my date will recognize me. I waited 5 minutes and saw a very pretty woman enter the cafe. Of course I didn't think anything of it at first, but when the woman looked around and then walked in my direction, I was very irritated. She sat down across from me and introduced herself. "Hi, I'm Jolene, you must be Michelle, right? How nice, you're my date." Then she smiled at me. And she has a really beautiful and very contagious smile. You guys have to know I'm straight and Sheila knows that. That's why I was so confused. I expected my date to be a man. Don't get me wrong, I'm not homophobic. I accept and support LGBTQ+, but I'm just not into women. I had a nice talk with her and Sheila was right, we really have a lot in common. Jolene is 22, a lesbian, she's interested in the same things, has the same hobbies, and we have similar tastes in music. She is really a sweet and kind person. I explained to her that I'm not a lesbian or bi, I'm straight. At first I wanted to end the date, but Jolene said that even though I'm not into women, we could still have a good time together. And she's right about that. We enjoyed our cake and pumpkin latte, and then went for a walk in a park. It was really nice walking around the park with Jolene, talking and watching the leaves fall from the trees. Jolene took me home to my apartment and we hugged us. We exchanged numbers and have already arranged a next meeting. I told her again that I really like her, but I'm not into women. She said, "Let's see what will become of us, I'm open to everything, I like you too, hun." Then she kissed me on the cheek and I think I blushed a bit. After that she said goodbye, and when I think about her last sentence, my stomach warms up and I have to smile. Since I met this woman, I question if I'm straight or not. I don't want to give her false hopes though because, even if we don't get together, I'd love to be friends with her. She is gorgeous and her character is simply stunning. So be friends. This doesn't have to be difficult. Love comes in a gradient. Familial, friendly, romantic, passionate. So you have feelings for her that aren't sexual. Hooray? Be open and honest, with both you and her. You may have just found a best friend. I think there's nothing wrong with being friends, but the fact that she said, "Let's see where this goes," instead of, "I know you're straight and I respect that, so let's see if a friendship is possible." That kind of sounds like a little boundary testing to me. But I don't know for sure. I'm glad you were adamant. Just as long as she's respectful and you set clear boundaries, you probably could have a great friendship. Am I the only one creeped out by this person completely ignoring OP's boundaries and disregarding OP's sexuality? My 22F boyfriend, 24M, proposed to me in the worst way possible. My boyfriend of 2 years really wants to marry me. He has told me many times I am the love of his life and that he wants to spend the rest of his life with me. He wants to marry me as soon as possible. I want to spend the rest of my life with him. But I'm too young to be married right now. I've told him this many times. We agreed to get married in 2025 because of it. But boyfriend still wants to propose to right away. I've known he was gonna propose. We have already picked out an engagement ring together. He's asked me how I wanted to be proposed to, and I told him in a romantic way, with just the two of us. I don't want to be proposed to in public, or just out of the blue at home while I'm studying or something. I know it's selfish to say, but I want my heart to pound with love during the moment. Well, since then it seems like boyfriend has ignored everything I said I wanted. He's asked me to marry him 5 times out of the blue at home while I'm doing chores or something. He doesn't go down on one knee or give me the ring just, "Hey, wanna get married?" I've always said, I'm too young to be married right now, but an engagement is good if you ask me in a romantic way. This is where the title comes in. Yesterday me and boyfriend went to Ren Fair with our close friends. And earlier that week I had a gut feeling he was gonna propose. So earlier that week I specifically told him over the phone, "I don't want you to propose at Ren Fair. Please don't, that isn't how I want it to go. I hate being the center of attention." Well, as we were regrouping and getting ready to leave, boyfriend, very tipsy, comes up to me and pulls out the ring and gets down on one knee. And he asks me in public surrounded by people. I freak out and say, I'm too young, and try to walk away. But boyfriend insists like, we can still be engaged, so I said fine and he put the ring on. Then people started clapping and I wanted to die. I still want to die thinking about it. Right away I told him, this isn't how I wanted it to go, and I told him to please try again. Because I hate public proposals. Well, he took the ring back and he's been spiraling down an emotional rabbit hole. He devastated and mad that I rejected him. And I need Reddit's help for what to do next. He hasn't talked to me since Ren Fair. I try and talk to him about it, saying I still love him, and he's not the problem. But I'm just ignored. What do I do next? I don't know how I can bring him out of this funk. Are my requests too much? I just really need some advice. Update. First off, thank you to each and every one of you for commenting and giving your perspective. I've read each and every comment and it's really brought things into perspective. First off, most of you are right. I don't want to be engaged to him. I set high expectations for myself and him that I knew he couldn't meet as a way to prolong the engagement. I don't want to marry him with the way he is pushing me and not respecting my boundaries. However, I do sincerely and genuinely love him. I know why he wants to marry me so badly, and I know why he's so pushy. I am not saying it's okay to disrespect my boundaries. Let me repeat, I know it's not okay for him to disrespect my boundaries. Which is why last night I wrote a long speech talking about all the things I am unhappy with in our relationship and that as they aren't fixed I will leave. He agreed to start couples therapy with me to work on these issues and be better. The fact that you has told him many times that you don't want a public proposal and he did it anyway shows he either doesn't listen to what you want, or doesn't care for what you want. My, now, wife didn't want a public proposal. I proposed with no one around and no engagement party afterwards. I don't understand how so many people don't listen to what their partners want. Do you really think he's the one when he hasn't respected your wishes or even thought about what you would like and ignores you? It seems clear to me that this has revealed some very important things about your boyfriend's character that should not be ignored by you. Do you see that as well? Had a panic attack at my boyfriend's best friend's wedding. Yesterday I, F23, attended the wedding of my boyfriend, Joe S, M29, best friend. It was my first ever wedding. Joe's mom, stepdad, and sister were also in attendance. Although everything went great the day before the wedding, I was still under some stress. On top of being a full-time student with an internship, a part-time job, and extracurriculars, I had to drive down to Joe's house straight from a 7-hour class the day before the wedding, which would also be my first time ever meeting Joe's sister. It went okay, but I was very tired, and felt some pressure to make a good first impression. That night we attended a party for the guests where I also felt some pressure to make a good impression. This is just some background info to explain my frame of mind. The day of the wedding started off great and the outdoor ceremony was beautiful. Appetizers were served, and Joe ate something that made him feel very sick almost instantly. He was so nauseous that he asked me if we could walk out into the field and wait it out away from everyone to not make a scene. I came with him to the field and waited with him for him to feel better for about an hour and a half. In that time, we missed dinner and speeches. Joe started to become anxious and cry, and I did everything I could to calm him down. At the same time, his mom was texting me that he was missing everything and needed to come back. I went into full carer mode and got Joe cheered up and all set to come back to the party after an additional half hour. I was becoming more stressed, but Joe's mom pulled me onto the dance floor, so I left him with his friends to relax at the table. A little bit later, I turned and saw that Joe was on the dance floor, dancing with his friends and ignoring me. When the next song started, I asked if he wanted to dance, but he said no and sat back down. I suddenly felt my throat close and my eyes start stinging. I excused myself to the bathroom and started to cry. As I tried and failed to compose myself, all I could do was cry harder and harder. Joe's mom texted me that he was worried about me and I had to come back. I managed to compose myself enough to leave the bathroom once or twice, but the feeling would come back and I would have to go back to the bathroom to cry again. The last time this happened was at the end of the night, and I told Joe I would have to meet him at his mom's car. I couldn't even say goodbye to the newlyweds. In the car, Joe said, "That was fun. Aside from my little moment and his mom said, "Yeah, well, you both had moments." I don't know why, but I lost it. Crying, hyperventilating, fully out of control. When we got to the house, Joe's mom and stepdad went inside while I collapsed in the driveway and the panic attack continued. Joe watched helplessly while I cried so hard I started dry heaving. I wanted to go home then, but Joe convinced me to stay. I woke up and snuck out at 6 this morning. I just couldn't face any of them. I'm so ashamed and embarrassed. I feel such shame that I worry that me and Joe might have to break up. I don't see how I can come back from this. Reddit. What do I do now? How do I address what happened last night? Is my relationship over? No, sweetheart, your relationship isn't over. At least, it shouldn't be. If he truly cares about you and loves you, he wouldn't allow one bad day to end your relationship. All you can really do at this point is recognize that everything happened, but also recognize that you can move on from it. We're human, and every once in a while we have a really shitty day. But all we can do is move on. You're gonna be okay, I promise.